Welcome to Not My Mother's Baking. I am Chef Sarah and today we're going to make Not My Mother's Donuts. Why is it called Not My Mother's Donuts? Because today I'm going to make banana bombolini. This is by far the most elaborate recipe that I'll be sharing with you guys, but fret not because it'll be well worth it. I have whole eggs, caster sugar, salted butter, grated lemon zest, some vanilla essence, instant yeast, as well as warm water. I'm going to use bread flour and plain flour. Traditionally, you could use just bread flour. However, because the protein content in bread flour is a lot higher than plain flour, I have chosen to mix bread and plain flour together. This would result in a softer and more cake-like texture for the donuts. This time, I'm going to be using the J hook. Okay, it's a lot more sturdy and it mimics the hand movement of kneading. Put the two flours in. Sugar, instant yeast, and grated lemon zest. I'm just going to give it a quick mix. Okay? Just slow speed will do. Slowly sprinkle the water inside. Up the speed. Then I'm going to add the eggs one by one. Then up the speed. Then comes the vanilla essence. A small drop will do. And the last would be the butter. Every time you put in a fat, it has to be the last step of any bread making step. This is to prevent any lumps from forming very early on in the mixing stage. Turn it up to high speed. You will hear the flapping sound in the bowl. It's not ready yet until the bowl is completely clean and we're going to do something called the window pane test. Take the piece of dough and you stretch it out, okay? If you can see your finger through, means that the dough is ready and the gluten has been formed. So now we can work on our dough. Before I put it on the table, I'm going to actually just lightly dust it with flour so it doesn't stick. So this is the fun part. Bread making was one of the experiences that really opened my eyes and also my heart to baking, because essentially the dough is a living organism, you know, it's alive with the yeast inside. So this part, what you're going to do is you're going to make it into a nice round shape, okay? To have a nice smooth texture on the surface. You can cover it with a bowl and let it rest for 15 to 30 minutes before you portion it into smaller balls. So while waiting for that, we move on to the banana custard. We have corn flour, egg yolks, banana milk, and caster sugar. Mix the corn flour and the egg yolks in a bowl. So we're just going to mix it well till there are no lumps, okay? So we're going to strain this. It's an additional step, but it's well worth it to make sure you have a very smooth custard at the end. So now I'm going to boil the banana milk along with the sugar. So caster sugar goes in. We allow it to come to a boil. Okay, pour a third of this into the egg and corn flour mixture. This is called tempering. A little bit more. This process of tempering is very important for you to make sure that you do not cook the eggs when you pour the hot milk into the mixture immediately, okay? So you put in the hot milk bit by bit, pour the mixture into the pot. So at this point, you're going to cook the custard at low heat and you have to whisk throughout to prevent the risk of burning at the bottom. So how do you know if your custard is cooked? You're going to see it start popping at the bottom. I'm going to let it cook a little bit more to ensure there's no raw flour taste. This is also the texture that Chef Siti calls the baby's bottom. The custard is done. Cool it before we use it as a filling. Wow, okay. It has more than double in size. So what we need to do is to degas the dough. You want to knock out all the air bubbles. You will hear the squeaking of the gas. So now I'm going to use a dough cutter to cut into equal portions. So This is the part where we're going to do something called rounding. Using this part of your hand, press it down, knock out all the air bubbles. So once it forms the shape of a ball, I'm going to use this part of my hand to move it around in circles. You'll get something nice and tight with a smooth surface like that. And you're going to set it aside. So, put this on a tray and let it rest yet again for another 15 to 30 minutes. They will start to rise, and as they expand, they're going to be very fragile. So make sure after you shape them, you put them on a tray where you want them to be and do not move them afterwards. You're going to let it rest. The dough has been fully rested and now we're ready to fry them. So the oil is hot. Flip it to make sure that it browns evenly on both sides. You don't want to overcrowd it, if not the temperature of the oil will be too low and it's not going to fry and all the dough will absorb the oil. Drain the excess oil first, toss it into sugar. Make a small incision using a paring knife. So I've actually chilled the custard and put it into a piping bag together with a round nozzle. Just going to put it in here and make sure it's really nice and full until the custard starts to come out. The donuts have been filled and now it's time to enjoy them. And there you have it, not my mother's donuts.
And action!
Hi, welcome to Not My Mother's Baking.
Look at that. Catch our film Not My Mother's Baking
Screening exclusively at Film Guard Cineplexes now! Not My Mother's Baking is made possible thanks to our premier sponsor, SSA Culinary Institute.
Courses offered by SSA are great for all ages and even for beginners.
Regardless of gender.